The big transport ship shook as it entered Earth's airspace. Its old engines made loud noises as they worked hard. Inside the cargo area, Nari held her 3 eggs close to her scaled body. She was a draconian, a dragon-like being from a far planet. She had run away from her homeworld because of a terrible war. Nari had spent all her money to get on this ship to Earth, the one planet known to welcome all kinds of aliens. "We will land at Seoul Spaceport soon," said the ship's computer voice. "All passengers should get ready for landing." Suddenly, the ship jerked hard to one side. Loud alarms started to ring. Nari felt like she was floating as the ship began to fall from the sky. "The engines have failed. Get ready for a crash," the voice shouted. The crash was very bad. When Nari woke up, she found herself stuck under twisted metal parts. Both her back legs were crushed under heavy pieces of the ship. Her eggs, by some miracle, were not broken. They lay just out of her reach. Pain shot through her body when she tried to move. Many hours passed. Rescue teams came, but they helped the human-looking passengers first. The Earth people didn't know much about draconian bodies, and many were afraid to come near the large lizard-like creature with sharp teeth and claws. They left her for last, thinking she was dead or too dangerous to help. Night came. Nari was getting weaker. Her eggs would soon get cold without her body heat. In a last try for help, she made a low, sad call, the ancient distress sound of her kind. Far away, in a small repair shop outside Seoul, Tae looked up from the engine he was fixing. Something had triggered his special hearing device, a sound unlike any he had heard before. "That's strange," he said to himself, putting down his tools. He walked to the door of his shop and looked outside. Tae was a mechanic who fixed both machines and living things. At 42 years old, he had spent most of his life fixing things others thought couldn't be fixed. His small shop was known as a place where both broken engines and broken bodies could be repaired. He saw an orange glow in the night sky, where the ship had crashed hours earlier. The news had said survivors were taken to hospitals, but something told him not everyone had been found. "Dak, I'm going out for a while," he called to his young helper. "Watch the shop." Tae loaded his portable toolbox into his hover truck and drove toward the crash site. Guards stood around the area, but Tae knew how to get past security systems, a skill from his younger days when he didn't always follow the rules. The crash site was huge. Pieces of the ship were scattered across a wide area. Most rescue workers had left, thinking their job was done. Tae followed the strange sound he had heard, using his hearing device to guide him. When he found Nari, she was barely awake. Her silver scales, normally bright and shiny, were now dull with dust and blood. Her massive body, nearly 20 feet long, was trapped under twisted metal. Nearby, 3 large eggs gave off a faint blue glow. "Well," Tae whispered, walking slowly with his hands where she could see them. "You're a long way from home, aren't you?" Nari's eyes, with up and down pupils and amber-colored eyes, looked at him with clear intelligence and fear. "I won't hurt you," he said, turning on his universal translator. "I'm a mechanic. I fix things. And you look like you need fixing." The dragon made a series of clicks and rumbles that his translator turned into words. "My babies. Save my babies first." Tae looked at the eggs, then at the readings from his scanner. "The eggs are okay for now, but you're not. Those legs need help right away or you won't live to see your babies hatch." He moved carefully, setting up portable lights around the area. "This is going to hurt, but I need to get you free before anyone finds out I'm here." Tae worked through the night. He used laser cutters to carefully remove the metal pieces trapping Nari. He talked to her as he worked, trying to keep her calm and conscious. "I've never met a draconian before," he said. "I've read about your kind, though. You come from the Orion system, right?" "Yes," Nari said weakly. "My homeworld is the 3rd planet from our sun. Or it was my home. Now it's just a battlefield." "The Civil War," Tae nodded. "It's been on the news." "That's why you came to Earth?" "For my children," she said, looking at her eggs. "On my world, they would be taken to fight when they grow up. Here they might have a chance to live in peace." As Tae cut through more metal, he asked, "How long until they hatch?" "Soon, very soon." "That's why I had to leave when I did. Once they hatch, travel becomes impossible." By early morning, Tae had cut away most of the metal, but what he saw made him worry. Nari's legs were badly broken, bones sticking out through scales, blood vessels damaged, muscles torn. "This is very bad," he told her honestly. "You need more help than I can give you here." No hospitals will take me, Nari said. Your people fear my kind. Then I'll take you to my shop, Tay decided. It's not a hospital, but I have equipment there. I've fixed many different aliens before. Why would you help me? Nari asked, her voice weak from pain. Tay thought for a moment. Because you need help, and because I hate seeing broken things stay broken when I know I can fix them. He looked around and saw some construction equipment left at the crash site. I have an idea, but you need to trust me. Can you do that? Nari looked at him for a long time. I have no choice, she finally said. Using the construction equipment, Tay carefully loaded Nari onto a flat metal sheet. He then used a small crane to lift her into a cargo container. Very gently, he placed her eggs next to her. Hold on, he told her. The ride might be rough. Tay connected the container to his hover truck. The truck's anti-gravity system struggled with the weight, making strange noises as they moved slowly away from the crash site. As they drove through the early morning darkness, Nari asked, "What is your name, human mechanic?" "I'm Tay," he said, "and I promise I'll do everything I can to fix your legs and keep your baby safe." For the first time since the crash, Nari felt hope. Among all the humans who had feared her or ignored her, this one had seen her as a mother in need, not a monster to avoid. "Thank you, Tay," she said softly. "My people have a saying. The one who helps in the darkest hour becomes family forever." Tay smiled as he drove carefully through the empty streets. "I've always wanted a bigger family," he said, though I didn't expect it would include dragons. As the sun began to rise, Tay's hover truck moved slowly toward his workshop, carrying precious cargo, a mother dragon, her unhatched babies, and the beginning of an unusual friendship that would soon change both their lives forever. Tay's workshop sat on the edge of Seoul, far enough from the city center that neighbors didn't ask too many questions. The old building had once been a warehouse before Tay turned it into a repair shop. As the hover truck pulled up to the large metal doors, Dak ran out to meet them. "What took you so long?" Dak asked. Then he saw the cargo container. "What did you bring back this time?" "Someone who needs help," Tay said simply. "Open the big doors. We need to clear out the main work area." Dak's eyes went wide when he saw Nari inside the container. The young man had worked with Tay for 3 years and had seen many strange things, but never a dragon. "Is that a draconian?" he whispered. "Her name is Nari," Ty said as he carefully drove the container into the workshop. "And those are her eggs. Both her back legs are badly broken. We need to help her." For the next hour, Tay and Dak cleared the main work area. They moved tools, parts, and half-fixed machines to make room for their large patient. Using the shop's ceiling crane, they gently lifted Nari onto a large metal table that Tay normally used for fixing truck engines. "This will hurt," Tay warned as they moved her. "But I need to see your legs clearly to fix them." Nari made no sound as they moved her, but her eyes showed her pain. Once she was on the table, Tay placed her eggs in a heated container he normally used for keeping engine parts warm. "The eggs need to stay at body temperature," Nari said weakly. "If they get cold, the babies inside will die." "They'll be safe," Tay promised. He adjusted the heat settings. "This container can keep a steady temperature for days, even if the power goes out." With the eggs safe, Tay turned his attention to Nari's legs. He used a scanner to see the full damage. The pictures on his screen made him frown. "Both legs have multiple breaks," he told her. "The bones are shattered in some places. And your bones are different from Earth animals. They have metal in them." "Yes," Nari said. "All draconians have metal in their bones. It helps us fly when we are fully grown." Tay thought for a moment. "That might actually help. I'm better with metal than with regular bones." He looked at Dak. "Get the medical supplies and my special tools, the ones in the locked cabinet." While Dak gathered supplies, Ty gave Nari medicine for pain. "This will make you sleepy," he explained. "It's better if you're not awake while I work on your legs." "Will I fly again?" Nari asked, her voice already getting drowsy from the medicine. Tay didn't want to lie. "I don't know. The damage is very bad, but I promise you'll walk again, and you'll live to see your babies grow up." As Nari drifted to sleep, Tay prepared for the long work ahead. He washed his hands and put on special gloves. Dak set up bright lights around the table. "Have you ever fixed a dragon before?" Dak asked nervously. "No," Tay admitted, "but I've fixed birds with broken wings, and I once helped a centaurian with leg problems. The basics are the same." He picked up his tools. "Hand me the bone scanner. We need to see exactly where each piece should go." For the next 12 hours, Tay worked without stopping. He carefully put each broken bone piece back in place. Where the bones were too damaged to save, he made new parts from a special metal that living bodies wouldn't reject. He connected blood vessels, fixed torn muscles, and closed wounds. Dak helped by handing tools, keeping Nari asleep with more medicine, and checking on the eggs. Outside, night fell, but inside the workshop, Tay kept working under the bright lights. Her left leg is the worst, Tay said as he worked on a particularly bad break. I don't think it will ever be as strong as it was before. Can you make a brace for it? Dak asked. Like the one you made for that alien ship captain last year? Tay's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. Not just a brace, but a support system. Something to help the leg work even if it can't hold her weight on its own. As morning approached, Tay finished the main repairs. Both legs were now straight again, with metal rods supporting the bones from the inside. He had closed all the wounds and stopped all the bleeding. Now came the hard part. I need to make braces for both legs, he told Dak. Special ones that will let her move but still support her weight. While Nari slept, Tay designed and built 2 metal braces. They wrapped around her legs from hip to foot, with joints that would bend when she wanted to move. He added small motors to help lift the legs when the muscles were too weak to do it alone. These are amazing, Dak said, looking at the finished braces. They look like armor more than medical devices. That's the idea, Tay said with a small smile. She shouldn't feel like she's wearing something because she's broken. She should feel like she's wearing something that makes her stronger. By mid-afternoon, Tay had attached the braces to Nari's legs. He was exhausted, having worked for nearly 24 hours straight. His hands were steady, but his eyes were red from lack of sleep. Now we wait, he said, sitting down heavily on a stool. The medicine will wear off soon. Then we'll see if she can move. Dak brought him a cup of hot tea. You should rest. I'll watch her. Tay shook his head. I need to be here when she wakes up. She'll be confused and in pain. She needs to see a friendly face. An hour later, Nari began to stir. Her large eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first. Then she saw Tay sitting beside her. My eggs? She asked immediately, her voice rough. Safe and warm, Tay assured her, pointing to the heated container where the 3 eggs glowed softly. They're doing fine. Nari tried to move and winced in pain. She looked down at her legs, now encased in the metal braces Tay had made. What are these? She asked, touching one of the braces with a clawed hand. Support systems for your legs, Tay explained. Your bones will heal, but it will take time. These braces will help you move until then, and even after they'll give you extra strength. Can I stand? Nari asked. Not yet, Tay said gently. You need to rest for a few days. Let your body start to heal. Then we'll try the braces. Nari looked around the workshop, taking in her surroundings for the first time. This is your home? My shop, Tay corrected. I live upstairs. This is where I fix things. Machines mostly, but sometimes living beings too. Why did you help me? Nari asked again. Your people at the crash site were afraid of me. Tay thought about his answer. Most people fear what they don't understand. I've spent my life learning about different beings from different worlds. I know that under the scales or skin or metal we're not so different. He smiled. Besides, I heard your call. It sounded like someone who needed help, not someone to be afraid of. Nari's eyes filled with tears. Not water like human tears, but a silvery liquid that caught the light. On my world, showing weakness means death. Here, my weakness brought me help. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me, Tay said. Just focus on getting better. Those little ones will need their mother when they hatch. As if on cue, one of the eggs moved slightly in the heated container. Nari's eyes widened. They sense me, she said. They know I'm near. Tay looked at the eggs with new interest. How long until they hatch? Soon, Nari said. Very soon. Days, maybe hours. The crash may have sped up the process. Tay nodded. Then we have work to do. You need food and a proper place to rest. And we need to get ready for 3 baby dragons. He grinned at Dak. Looks like our repair shop is about to become a dragon nursery. For the first time since the crash, Nari felt safe. Her legs still hurt, but they were fixed. Her eggs were safe. And she had found something rare in the universe. Beings who helped without wanting anything in return. Thank you, Tay, she said softly. You are a true friend to Draconians. Tay smiled as he checked her braces one more time. I'm just a mechanic who likes fixing things. And right now, you and your family are the most important things that need fixing. 3 days passed since Ty brought Nari to his workshop. During this time, he turned the main work area into a comfortable space for the Dragon Mother. He brought in soft mats for her to lie on and built a low platform where she could rest without putting pressure on her healing legs. Nari was a good patient. She didn't complain about pain, though Tay could see it in her eyes when she tried to move. Each day he checked her legs and adjusted the metal braces to make them more comfortable. "Today we'll try standing," Tay said on the morning of the 4th day. "The braces will do most of the work. You just need to keep your balance." Nari looked nervous. "What if I fall?" "Then we'll help you up and try again," Tay said simply. "Dak and I will be on both sides of you." It took 3 tries before Nari could stand on her braced legs. The metal supports whirred softly as their small motors helped lift her weight. When she finally stood at her full height, her head nearly touched the workshop ceiling. "You're taller than I thought," Dak said, looking up at her in wonder. Nari made a sound that Ty realized was laughter. "I'm actually small for a female draconian," she said. "My mother was nearly twice my size. Walking was harder than standing." Nari had to learn how to use the braces, which responded to the small movements of her muscles. By the end of the day, she could take 10 steps without stopping. It was progress, but she was exhausted. "Rest now," Tay told her as he helped her back to her platform. "Tomorrow we'll try again." That night, as Tay was closing up the shop, he heard a strange sound from the heated container where the eggs were kept. It was a soft tapping noise like something gently hitting glass from the inside. He went to look and saw that the largest egg was moving. Small cracks had appeared on its surface and the glow from inside had grown brighter. "Nari," he called softly. "I think it's time." Nari was instantly alert. "Bring them to me," she said urgently. "They need to see me when they first hatch." Tay carefully moved the heated container next to Nari's platform. All 3 eggs were now moving slightly, but the largest one had the most cracks. "What do we need to do?" Ty asked. "Nothing," Nari said. "They must break out on their own. It's their first test of strength." Her voice was filled with both worry and pride. "But they need to feel my warmth and hear my voice." Tay and Dak watched in amazement as Nari began to sing. It wasn't like human singing. It was deeper, with sounds that seemed to vibrate in the air. The translator couldn't catch the words, but the meaning was clear. A mother calling to her children, the eggs responded to her song. The cracks in the largest egg grew wider. A small sound came from inside, a tiny version of Nari's call. "That's it, little one," Nari encouraged. "Come to me." For the next hour, they watched as the egg's shell slowly broke apart. Finally, a small copper-colored snout pushed through. 2 bright eyes blinked in the light of the workshop. With one final push, the shell split open, and a baby dragon tumbled out onto the soft padding Tay had placed under the eggs. The hatchling was about the size of a small dog, with shiny copper scales that caught the light. It had tiny wings, still wet and folded against its body, and a long tail that it couldn't quite control yet. "A son," Nari said proudly. "Strong and healthy." The baby dragon looked around, blinking. Then it saw Nari and made a happy chirping sound. It tried to walk to her but stumbled on wobbly legs. Tay gently picked up the hatchling and placed it next to its mother. The baby immediately curled against Nari's side, making soft purring sounds. "He's beautiful," Ty said, amazed at the perfect little creature. "What will you name him?" "In our tradition, hatchlings are named by those present at their birth," Nari explained. "Since you saved us, you have the right to name them." Tay was surprised. "Me? But I don't know draconian naming customs." "Names have power," Nari said. "They shape what we become. Choose a name that feels right to you." Tay looked at the copper-colored baby who was now trying to climb onto his mother's back. "He seems brave and curious. How about Juan?" Nari repeated the name, making it sound musical in her language. "Juan, yes, it's a good name." Before they could talk more, the second egg cracked open. This hatching was faster than the first. Soon a silver dragon baby with unusual dark markings on its back emerged. This one was slightly smaller than Juan, but moved with more grace. "Another son," Nari said. "Look how he already holds his head high." This hatchling didn't stumble, but walked directly to Nari on steady legs. It made a soft trilling sound and touched its snout to hers. "He seems wise already," Tay observed. "Like he's thinking about everything he sees." "Yes," Nari agreed. "He has an old soul." "Then I'll call him June," Tay decided. It means talented in our language. The third egg took longer to hatch. By midnight, it had only small cracks. Nari began to look worried. Sometimes the smallest needs help, she said. On my world, other adults would be here to call to it. Tay thought for a moment. Maybe we can help. He took a small tool from his workbench, a device that made low vibrations.
He held it near the egg and turned it on at its lowest setting. The egg responded immediately.
The cracks widened and soon a tiny head pushed through. This hatchling was smaller than the others, with scales that seemed to change color as it moved, shifting from green to blue to purple. A daughter, Nari said softly. Very rare among our kind. The little female dragon needed help getting out of her shell. Tay gently broke away pieces until she could climb out. She was only half the size of her brothers, but she made twice as much noise, squeaking and chirping as she explored her new world. She's a fighter, Dax said, laughing as the tiny dragon tried to climb up his arm. Yes, Nari agreed. Small but fierce. Then her name should be Sue, Tay said. It means outstanding in our language. Nari nodded approvingly. Juan, June, and Sue. My children have good names. For the rest of the night, they watched as the three hatchlings explored their new world. Juan was the most adventurous, trying to climb everything in reach. June stayed close to his mother, watching everything with careful eyes. Little Sue moved between her brothers, sometimes riding on Juan's back, sometimes curling up next to June. By morning, all three babies were nursing from their mother. Tay was surprised to see that draconians nursed their young like mammals, not like earth reptiles. We are not like your earth lizards, Nari explained when she saw his surprise. We carry our young inside eggs, but we feed them with milk after they hatch. It helps their minds grow quickly. How fast will they grow? Dak asked, watching the babies with fascination. Very fast at first, Nari said. In 1 month, they will be twice this size. In 6 months, they will be as big as your hover truck. But then growth slows. It takes 20 years for a draconian to reach full size. Tay realized his workshop would soon be too small for this growing family. We'll need to find you a bigger place to live, he said. Nari looked worried. Where could we go? Your people fear us. Not everyone, Tay said thoughtfully. I have a friend who owns land in the mountains north of here. It's private and has caves. It might be perfect for you and the little ones. You would help us find a home too? Nari asked, her voice filled with wonder. Of course, Tay said. You're not just patients anymore. You're friends. As the sun rose on the new day, the three baby dragons fell asleep against their mother's warm side. Tay watched them, feeling a strange mix of pride and worry. He had saved this family, but their journey was just beginning. Living on Earth as the only draconians would not be easy. We'll make it work, he promised Nari. Your children will grow up safe here. Nari's eyes met his, full of trust and gratitude. Because of you, they have that chance. I will never forget what you have done, Tay the mechanic. Tay smiled as he watched the sleeping dragon family. In all his years of fixing broken things, this was by far his most important repair. 2 weeks after the hatching, Tay's workshop had become too small for the growing dragon family. The three babies were already twice the size they had been at birth. Juan, the copper-colored male, could now reach the top of Tay's workbench by standing on his back legs. June, the silver one with dark markings, had figured out how to open cabinets with his clever claws. And little Sue, though still smaller than her brothers, could now glide short distances with her developing wings. They're growing so fast, Dak said, as he watched Sue glide from a shelf to Nari's back. And they're smart too. Draconian young develop quickly, Nari explained. They need to in the wild. But you're right, we need more space. Tay had been working on this problem. He made a call to his old friend Minho, who owned land in the mountains north of Seoul. I need a favor, Tay told Minho over the video call. I have some unusual guests who need a place to stay, somewhere private with lots of space. Minho raised an eyebrow. What kind of unusual? Tay turned the screen to show Nari and the babies. Minho's eyes went wide. Are those dragons? He asked in disbelief. Draconians, Tay corrected. Refugees from the war in the Orion system. Nari crashed here and I helped fix her legs. Now she and her babies need a safe place to live. Minho was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. You always did bring home the most interesting strays, Tay. He thought for a moment. I have the perfect place. The old mining property with the big caves. It's remote and the caves are huge. They could live there without anyone bothering them. That sounds perfect, Tay said, relieved. When can we see it? Tomorrow, Minho said. But how will you get them there? A dragon isn't exactly easy to transport. That was a problem Tay had been working on. I've modified my hover truck. It can now carry Nari's weight and the babies can ride in the cab with me. The next day they prepared for the journey. Tay had strengthened Nari's leg braces for the trip. She could now walk short distances without pain, though long walks were still difficult. The mountains are about 3 hours from here, Tay explained, as he helped Nari into the back of the hover truck. The road gets rough near the end, but the truck can handle it. The 3 baby dragons were excited about the trip. They had never been outside the workshop before. Juan kept trying to climb to the front window to see out. June sat quietly, watching everything with his thoughtful eyes. Sue bounced around the cab, her scales changing colors with her excitement. Settle down, Tay told them with a laugh. We'll be there soon. The journey through the city was tense. Tay had covered the back of the truck so no one could see Nari, but he still worried about being stopped. Dragons weren't illegal on Earth, but they were very unusual, and would attract attention they didn't need. Once they left the city behind, the road climbed into the mountains. The trees grew thicker and the air became cooler and fresher. The baby dragons pressed their snouts against the windows, amazed by the new sights. Trees, Juan said in his simple dragon speech. The babies could now speak a few words that the translator could understand. Big trees, Sue agreed, her scales turning green to match the forest. After 3 hours of driving, they turned onto a narrow dirt road that wound up the mountainside. The truck bounced over rocks and ruts, making the dragons hold on tight. Almost there, Tay assured them. Finally, they reached a clearing in front of a large cliff face. Minho was waiting for them, standing next to his own vehicle. You made it, he called as Tay stopped the truck. Then he saw the 3 baby dragons peering out the windows. Wow, you didn't mention there were little ones too. Tay helped Nari out of the back of the truck. Her braces whirred as she stood to her full height. Minho took a step back in surprise, then collected himself and bowed respectfully. Welcome to my land, he said. I'm Minho. Nari lowered her head in greeting. I am Nari. These are my children, Juan, June, and Sue. We thank you for your kindness. The baby dragons tumbled out of the truck and began exploring the clearing. They had never seen so much open space before. Juan immediately tried to climb a tree. June sniffed at strange plants. Sue chased a butterfly, her scales shifting to match its blue wings. The cave entrance is this way, Minho said, leading them toward the cliff. A large opening, taller than Nari, was partly hidden by bushes. It goes deep into the mountain. There are several big chambers inside and a small underground stream for fresh water. They walked into the cave, Nari moving carefully on her braced legs. Inside, the temperature was cool but not cold. The main chamber was huge, at least 3 times the size of Tay's entire workshop. Smaller tunnels led to other rooms deeper in the mountain. This is perfect, Nari said, looking around. Her voice echoed slightly in the large space. We can make a good home here. The babies ran from one end of the cave to the other, exploring every corner. Their excited calls echoed off the walls. The local people don't come here, Minho explained. They think the old mine is dangerous. You'll have privacy. What about food? Tay asked. Draconians eat meat and lots of it. I can hunt, Nari said. Once my legs are stronger. Until then, I'll bring supplies, Tay promised. And we can set up a communication system so you can call if you need anything. For the next few days, Tay and Dak worked to make the cave comfortable. They brought soft materials for sleeping areas and set up solar panels outside to power lights, and a small heating system for cold nights. Minho brought tools and helped build storage areas for food. Nari watched with amazement as the humans worked so hard to help her family. On my world, different species rarely help each other this way, she said to Tay as he installed a water filter for the stream. Earth has its problems, Tay admitted. Not all humans would be so welcoming. But many of us believe all intelligent beings deserve respect and help when they need it. By the end of the week, the cave had been transformed into a comfortable home. The main chamber had a large sleeping area for Nari and the babies. A smaller chamber had been turned into a food storage area. Another room, with a natural skylight through a crack in the mountain, became a play area for the young dragons. On their last day of work, Tay made one final addition, a special medical area where he could check Nari's legs and adjust her braces when needed. I'll come once a week to see how you're doing, he promised. And you have the communication device if you need me sooner. That evening, they sat outside the cave watching the sunset. The baby dragons played in the clearing, chasing each other and practicing their gliding skills. Nari stood beside Tay, her braces allowing her to stand without pain for longer periods now. I never thought I would find such kindness so far from home, she said quietly. You have given my children a chance at life. Everyone deserves that chance, Tay said simply. Besides, I've always wanted to know a dragon family. As darkness fell, the stars came out bright and clear in the mountain sky. Nari looked up at them, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Somewhere up there is my homeworld, she said, still torn by war. So many of my kind fighting and dying for reasons that don't matter anymore. Maybe someday it will be peaceful again, Tay suggested. Maybe, Nari agreed. And if that day comes, my children will know that peace is possible between different kinds of beings. They will have learned that from you, Tay. The baby dragons, tired from playing, came back to curl up against their mother. As Tay prepared to leave for the night, he looked back at the dragon family silhouetted against the cave entrance, a sight no one would have believed possible just a few weeks ago. I'll be back in a few days, he promised. Call if you need anything. As he drove down the mountain, Tay felt a strange mix of emotions. He had helped save this family, but now they needed to learn to live on their own. Like any good mechanic, he had fixed what was broken. Now it was time to step back and let them run on their own power. But he knew this repair job was different from any other. The dragons weren't just machines he had fixed. They had become friends, maybe even family. And that connection would last long after the braces on Nari's legs were no longer needed. 6 months passed since Nari and her children moved to the mountain cave. During this time, many things changed. The baby dragons grew at an amazing speed. Juan, the copper-colored male, was now the size of a small horse. His wings had developed enough that he could fly short distances. June, the thoughtful silver one, was slightly smaller but could breathe small flames, a skill that had surprised everyone the first time he did it. Little Sue was still the smallest, but she made up for it with her special ability to change her scale colors to match anything around her. Nari's legs had healed better than Ty had hoped. She could now walk without pain, though she still wore the braces for support when flying. Yes, flying. After months of careful exercise and healing, she could now lift herself into the air for short periods. It wasn't the powerful flight she once had, but it was enough to let her hunt and explore the mountains around their home. Tay visited the dragon family every week. He brought supplies they couldn't get themselves, adjusted Nari's braces, and taught the young dragons about Earth and humans. The dragons, in turn, taught him about their world and culture. In our tradition, Nari explained one day as they sat outside the cave, young dragons learn by doing. They must try things, fail, and try again. Tay watched as Juan tried to catch a fish in the small mountain stream. The young dragon kept missing, splashing water everywhere. That looks familiar, Tay laughed. Human children learn the same way. Life in the mountains was peaceful, but Tay worried about the future. The dragons couldn't stay hidden forever. Sooner or later, someone would discover them. What would happen then? His worries came true sooner than he expected. One cool autumn morning, Tay arrived at the cave to find Nari in a state of high alert. Someone was here yesterday, she said as soon as he stepped out of his truck. Humans with cameras. They saw Juan flying. Ty's heart sank. Did they take pictures? Yes, Nari said. June saw them hiding in the trees. By the time I got there, they were gone. This was bad news. If pictures of real dragons appeared online, it would bring attention they didn't want. Curious people, government officials, maybe even those who would want to capture such rare creatures. We need to be ready, Tay said. If those pictures get out, people will come looking. For the next few days, Tay stayed at the cave. He set up sensors around the area that would warn them if anyone approached. He also contacted Minho, who agreed to patrol the roads leading to the property. 3 days later, the news broke. Real dragons discovered in Korean mountains read the headlines. The pictures were blurry but clear enough to show Juan's copper scales and wings against the blue sky. What will happen now? Nari asked, her voice tight with worry. I don't know, Tay admitted, but we'll face it together. He didn't have to wait long to find out. The next morning, the sensors alerted them to several vehicles approaching. Tay went out to meet them, telling Nari and the young dragons to stay hidden in the cave. 5 vehicles stopped in the clearing. From the first one stepped a tall, official-looking woman in a dark suit. I am Director Park from the Global Alien Affairs Office, she said. We received reports of draconian activity in this area. Tay stood his ground. This is private property. We're not here to cause trouble, Director Park said. But if there are unregistered alien beings on Earth, we need to know about it. It's our job to help them integrate legally and safely. Tay wasn't sure if he could trust her. And if they don't want to integrate? If they just want to be left alone? Director Park sighed. That's not possible anymore. The pictures are everywhere. People know dragons exist now. If we don't establish official contact, others will come looking, people with less good intentions. She had a point. Tay looked back toward the cave, then made a decision. Wait here, he said. I'll talk to them. Inside the cave, Nari had heard everything. She's right, the dragon said before Tay could speak. We can't hide anymore. But can we trust them? Tay asked. We trusted you, Nari said simply. Sometimes trust is all we have. Together they walked out of the cave. Nari stood tall, her silver scales catching the morning light. Behind her came the three young dragons, nervous but curious. Director Park's eyes widened at the sight of the dragon family. The people with her, a mix of officials and scientists, gasped and murmured to each other. I am Nari of the 7th Clutch, Nari announced in a clear voice. These are my children, Juan, June, and Sue. We are refugees from the Draconian Civil War. Director Park recovered quickly and bowed respectfully. On behalf of Earth's governments, I welcome you. We had no idea there were Draconian refugees here. Just us, Nari said. Our transport crashed 6 months ago. Tay saved me and helped my eggs hatch safely. For the next hour, they talked. Director Park explained that Earth had treaties with many alien species, including Draconians, but no dragons had ever settled on Earth before. Your timing is interesting, she said. Just last week, we received a message from the Draconian Reconciliation Council. The Civil War has ended, and they're looking for survivors from all clans. Nari's eyes widened. The war is over? Who won? No one won, Director Park said. Both sides finally realized they were destroying their own world. They formed a peace council instead. This was huge news. Nari sat down heavily, her legs suddenly weak despite the braces. The 7th Clutch, my family line, was thought to be wiped out in the early fighting, she said quietly. That's why I fled with my eggs. I thought we were the last. The council specifically mentioned the 7th Clutch, Director Park said. They're searching for survivors. Tay looked at Nari, seeing the conflict in her eyes. You could go home, he said softly. Home, Nari repeated. I never thought it would be possible. She looked at her children who were watching the conversation with wide eyes. But Earth is the only home they've known. Director Park cleared her throat. There's another option. The Draconian Council has asked to send a representative to Earth. If there are survivors here, they want to establish an official presence, an embassy of sorts. An embassy? Tay asked. Yes, and they would need Draconians to staff it. She looked at Nari. You could be the first. The next few weeks were busy. News of the dragons spread around the world, but the Global Alien Affairs Office kept reporters and curious people away from the mountain. Nari and her children were given official refugee status, then diplomatic status as representatives of the Draconian people. 1 month after their discovery, a small Draconian ship landed at Seoul Spaceport. From it emerged a tall, elegant male dragon with scales the color of dark blue midnight. He wore formal decorations that marked him as an important official. I am Q, ambassador of the Draconian Reconciliation Council, he announced to the waiting officials. I have come to establish our embassy on Earth and to find any survivors of our recent conflict. The meeting between Q and Nari's family took place at a special facility built near the mountain. Tay was there, standing proudly beside his dragon friends. When Q saw Nari and the 3 young dragons, he stopped in shock. The 7th Clutch lives, he said in wonder. We thought all were lost. Not all, Nari said. Thanks to this human. She nodded toward Tay. He saved me when I was broken and helped my children hatch safely. Q turned to Tay and bowed deeply, a gesture of highest respect in Draconian culture. You have preserved a bloodline we thought extinct. The 7th Clutch carries unique abilities that no other Draconians have. They are precious to our future. Tay shrugged, embarrassed by the formal thanks. I just did what needed doing. Anyone would have helped. No, Q said firmly. Not anyone. Many would have feared or tried to profit from finding a dragon. You helped with no thought of reward. He straightened to his full height. The Draconian Council offers you the title of Friend of Draconians, the first human to receive this honor. In the days that followed, many decisions were made. The Draconian Embassy would be built near Seoul, with living areas designed for dragons. Nari was named as first diplomat to Earth, a position of great honor. Her children would be the first Draconians to grow up on Earth, learning both cultures. Will you go back to your home world someday? Tai asked Nari as they watched the young dragons playing with human children at a special event. Perhaps to visit, Nari said, but Earth is our home now. She looked at her legs, still supported by the braces Tay had made. My injuries were a blessing in disguise. They brought us to you, and through you to a new life. 1 year after the crash that nearly killed her, Nari stood on a platform before a mixed crowd of humans and visiting aliens. As the official representative of her people, she was opening the new Draconian Embassy. Our two worlds, once separated by vast space, are now connected by friendship, she said. My family's story shows what can happen when beings help each other instead of fearing differences. She looked at Tay, who stood nearby with Dak and Minho. One human with a kind heart changed everything for us. He saw not a dangerous monster, but a mother who needed help. Because of him, my children will grow up in peace, building bridges between our worlds. After the ceremony, Tay's workshop became famous as the place where dragons were saved. He received more work than he could handle, fixing both machines and alien biology. He hired more helpers and expanded the shop, but he never changed his simple approach: find what's broken and fix it with care. The 3 young dragons visited often. Juan, now large enough to carry a human on his back, sometimes took Tay flying over the mountains. June, with his thoughtful nature, helped solve complex repair problems. And little Sue, with her color-changing scales, became a favorite with children who visited the shop. Did you ever think, when you heard my distress call that night, that you would end up with a dragon family? Nari asked Tay one evening as they watched the sunset from the mountain cave, now a protected historic site. Tay smiled. I just thought someone needed help. I never expected dragons. The best things in life are unexpected, Nari said wisely, like a broken leg that leads to a new beginning. As stars appeared in the sky, Tay looked up and wondered how many other beings might be out there, waiting for someone to hear their call for help. Whatever came next, he knew one thing for certain. Helping others was never a waste of time, even if, especially if, they had scales instead of skin and breathed fire instead of air. In a universe full of differences, kindness was the one language everyone could understand.